guys, welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Trades Talk Show, where we talk about everything that happens in the lives of contractors outside of the trades. I'm your girl Amelia Smith, as usual, and this week I have another extraordinary contractor joining us today. His name is Jonah Derling. He is the owner of Pathway Home Painting and Improvements. And guess what, guys? This one is real juicy. So he started out as a business teacher and then pivoted into painting and home improvements. So, guys, let me welcome on stage Jonah.
Hey Amelia, how are you
Hey,
doing?
Jonah. I am well. It's so great to have you today.
Well, thank you for
So,
having
of course. So listen, this is exciting because you started out as a business teacher. Now you have your own growing painting and home improvement company because you started out, flipping the houses while you were a business teacher. Tell me more about how that happened.
Yeah, that's correct. My background was essentially I graduated with a degree in business administration from a little school called North Greenville University in the upstate of South Carolina. And from there, I immediately went into sales, working for an HVAC company. After that, I found myself, coaching high school football once again. So from there, I wanted to get more into the teaching realm. And so I went through an alternative route to teach. And then I was in a place where I taught and coached high school football for 13 years. And I also just kind of reached a point where, I started a family, things happened. And I was like, I need to make sure that I'm doing stuff to build up our income to help out our family. And so one of the things that we would do is that we began painting houses and doing home improvements, and actually ended up getting into the real estate game. So we would utilize our time during the summer to flip houses, do these projects. And then it finally got to the point where I just said to myself, you know what? I'm a business teacher. I have a lot of this business knowledge, but I'm not exactly applying it to something and or applied it to a business officially. And I just really believe enough in what we're delivering to be able to, take a chance on it myself and start my own company. And so therefore we did that in May of 2023 was my last year as a teacher, or last month as a teacher. That summer we got to work, and we officially started the painting company as of November of 2023, and here we are today.
Wow. So this is real juicy. Like I love it. So business teacher, a football teacher, now a painting and home improvement contractor. So tell me, since you weren't using your business, background, what are some of the challenges, like even though you had that background, what are some of the challenges that even you experienced in the business when you just got started out?
Of course. Well, it's one of those things too where you can read and learn about all this stuff in school, and you can sit there and actually, try to digest as much information as you can. But at the end of the day, there are certain universal business principles that apply across several different industries, but you're going to have to get into the nitty gritty of your industry specific knowledge you got to have. And part of that is how do I effectively market our services? Like, we're starting from scratch, so, what are the things we need to implement to make sure that we're getting the word out that we're in business, such as, should we be, cultivating our social media presence, what tends to be the best way to market. We ended up finding out the best way to market, contracting services, especially from the ground up, is door-to-door knocking. And so that was a challenge.
Mm,
Involved in that process before, and it was a little worrisome, but we find that you have the ability to usually get at the forefront of a customer's mind first and foremost. And because they might be thinking about painting, but they haven't actually Googled it or researched any companies to provide them an estimate. And so you have that, law of first truths that applies right there. You have that first impression on them as being the one that
right.
help take care of that process. And then in addition to that, you're in a situation where you can typically do an estimate right there on the spot, and it's a very cheap but effective form of marketing. And so we found that was really effective as far as how much you were just kind of spending time versus, dollars on paper ads. So that was one challenge that I would say. And then also just as you're starting to build out a team, you may have industry specific knowledge about how to perform certain tasks and how long it might take you because of your experience. But then you start learning about if I'm going to bring on a team and, I want to make sure that, they're not just, that they are being efficient with what we're paying them. We need to figure out rates of production. So a lot of these things were things we had to figure out at the beginning. And then as we, went through some trial and error, we hired some employees that weren't so great. And then we were able to find and locate employees that have been terrific and are still on our team to this day. Just managing your time, you think like, oh, well, I'm just starting off, so there's not a whole lot of obligations. But then when you find yourself in the balance of, hey, we've got to make sure we're marketing ourselves. We got to turn around and we got to figure out, how we're going to produce these jobs that we've sold. Then we got to turn around and take care of the operations on the back end of things, and there's only one of you. So do I need to hire more people? Is there better efficient use of my time? So all these were challenges, but all in all, we're taking it one step at a time.
Awesome. I love it. So tell me, in the midst of all of this, did you ever have a point where you're like, I probably need to start praying more. I probably need to start meditating more, journaling. What it is that keeps you grounded in this path? Because of course, the challenge is like sometimes there are days when you probably feel like you want to give up. So what it is that helps to keep you grounded in terms of a personal belief, spirituality, a God, something like that?
Well, that's an excellent question. As far as you start off with a question by asking what helps you pray more. I don't know if I can pray any more than I already do. It's one of those things where I feel that I was very rooted in my faith. I am a Christian, and I definitely believe it was divinely inspired. I feel like there was a conviction of the Holy Spirit to kind of take off on my own and set off on a new journey, because that involved a lot of praying on my end, because I was like, Lord, I feel like you led me to being a teacher and a coach. So why do I feel like there's a different path on the horizon? And there was just some things I had to evaluate in my heart and my mind that I was witnessing play out in the school system. I was also recognizing, I wanted to, I got what was called the teacher's itch, and then a lot of teachers talk about how you get so far in your career and then you start saying, hey, do I need to go into administration or do I need to try something else? And that was essentially where I was at. And it started weighing on my heart. And, I prayed a lot about that. And then when you got into it, I'm actually in the process of looking to write a book called Entrepreneurship is Not for the Faithless. Because you find yourself, as you grow in this process, initially you're praying, that you're making the correct decisions. You're praying that more customers will come. You're praying,
and the right customers. So you pray for discernment too.
Absolutely. And that's what you learn too, is you start praying for the right customers to come in. But then ultimately you just start praying Lord, help me into the leader that I need to be. Help me into the, help me to make wise decisions based upon what I know about my business world in general. You start saying Lord, help me to do what it is to manage all of this, because on top of all this, I did this for my family, and I don't want to lose sight of
why.
Yes. And I don't want to lose sight of serving my family in the appropriate roles, and then I want to give my business everything I got, but I don't want to give my family the leftovers. So you're praying the Lord will help you to have the energy, but also hey, whenever I need to turn business off, help me turn it off and turn, that time on with my family and be the best I can for them as well.
I love that. So I'm just going to repeat it for a second, what you just said. I want to give my business everything I've got, but I don't want to give my family the leftovers. I love it. And the reason I love it is so many contractors struggle with this. It's a real struggle to even balance taking care of the family versus taking care of business. It almost boils down to a choice. Right. When really, is it really a choice? It's not a choice. It's kind of like an integration. So You want to do right by your family. You want to do right by your customers. You want to do right by God. By doing your duty as a father, as a husband, by God. But how do you make it all integrate? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's a real struggle. Like, I see it all the time. It's a huge struggle, and sometimes I work with couples, so even sometimes the wives complain. So I'm so excited to hear that you have such a strong why, that you could even say you want to do right by them, but you don't want to give them the leftovers. That is such a powerful statement. I love it. So, how do you find time for your family, your kids, your wife? Like, how do you find time with growing the team? How do you integrate your family, friends, vacations and that sort of thing? Especially since you're still so new with growing the business.
Absolutely. Well, I think, first and foremost, planning and communication are so important. I mean, it sounds cliche, but you really have to like take that time to have a discussion with your wife, with, your spouse, family members, ask them about like, what's important to them, like, what would they like to do like in the upcoming months. And then just, have them also understand that it's important to have that communication so that they understand what you are carrying on a daily basis as well, and saying like, I can't just drop everything at the drop of a hat. I mean, if something was to happen to my family, they know I would be there, pronto. But at the same time, they also have to recognize the weight that I carry now when so many people are dependent upon me, our customers and our team members. And so, we got to have that communication. Hey, or we want to take a, summer vacation, or we want to take this. And then we make sure we put it on the calendar. And then, when we put stuff on the calendar, that time is sacred.
Yes.
I'm not going to be checking emails when I go on that time. I'm not going to be, doing this and everything. And that also that requires you to be willing to take the step of hiring somebody. We just most recently, hired, a strategist and that's serving as an operations manager as well for us. And, we're be hiring a sales manager, or basically a sales coordinator as of the beginning of the first quarter. So we have these things in place where we're starting to say, hey, there are people in place that can help take over things and, make sure like the ship runs smoothly. And I think that's the defining factor of like, if you're really building a great product with your business, is if the business actually can carry on, in fact, even thrive without you, so that shows you that you're building something really great. And so with us, as far as like making time for family, it's also like every Sunday now, I spend time, I look over the work schedule, and then I make sure I build in things throughout the week. And again, those times are sacred. I know for a fact, Wednesday mornings, like we have a networking event we attend every single week in our local area. So I can't take my daughter to school on those days, but there's days, if I don't have if I don't have a appointment booked at 8 a.m. on any days, I'm making sure those days I go ahead and say, all right, well, nothing's booked so far from last week's calls. So let's go ahead and make sure that Thursdays I'm taking my daughter to school. And, you're building that time as you take her to school, and then I'm not trying to answer phone calls or call people during that time. I'm talking to her in the car, which she's 2.5 years old, and the sweetest thing this morning, she was like, talk to me, daddy, talk to me. And so that's something you'd love to hear as a dad, making sure that, again, too, that like this week, it was a rare occasion where I had an appointment that was going to be an hour away, from our driving location. But the only time they could meet with me was, 5 p.m. So I made sure when I did the estimate, but my wife knew I'm not going to be home till 7:00, but making those incidences rare and being intentional about that. And then every day she leaves her job. She actually, coincidentally works at my daughter's daycare and school. So a lot of days she takes her to work with her, but there's times where it's just like, hey, we let the 2.5-year-old sleep a little longer, and then I get to spend time getting her ready, doing her breakfast, and then driving her. And then I know I'm kind of going on about that, but it's important.
No, it's fine. I love it. I love it.
But then like when they leave and come home, like if like they're leaving by 5:30 or they're getting home by 5:30, that's when my office hours are shutting off, so
Yeah.
at that point in time I'm going to be home the same time they are, so
I love your use of words. Can I just say that? You said that the time that you spend with your family is sacred. That
yes.
is such a I want to use your own words again. It's so intentional. I love it. I don't know. We're on this recording, but you're having such an impact on me right now just by the use of words, because it is so clear that family is not something you take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I can see that you believe that it should be nurtured and fed. Just like you're gonna nurture your own business, you're gonna nurture yourself, you're nurturing your prayer life and that sort of thing. I absolutely love it. I love it. So, how do you manage to sleep well, eat properly, being all over the road? Like, how does that work for you? Do you do like meal preps and stuff like that, or do you just like grab and go? How does that work out for you?
So I would have to say that is probably the area where I am struggling the most lately. It's like, just and I was very fortunate that I had former, coaching friend of mine, well, still a friend, but like, former coaching associate who's a friend and also a nutritionist. And he was just kind of, like echoing sentiments like, hey, it doesn't matter how much you grow the business. If you're not getting sleep and eating right, you're not going to be around long enough to enjoy the spoils of it. And your family is going to think like, man, he did everything he could for his business. But then, if you dig yourself into early grave, that's a problem. So, I would encourage everyone, you got to make you a priority. This is really tough in this field because it's like, hey, we're constantly, like you said, like we've established first, we're constantly trying to serve our customers. We're trying to make sure we're in a good place for our team to depend on us, and then ultimately you want to make sure that we're balancing our family. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, what's left for you?
Yeah.
Because I actually had I had the opportunity to play for a very prominent coach in college football right now, and one of the things that he made a priority on was constantly developing us as men. And I never will forget, like, a leadership development class we had during summer football training one year where he talked about the analogy of the baker who starved himself, and it was very good parable talking about like how a baker can constantly produce bread and feed everyone else. But if he doesn't take time to, eat of his own, like fruits, or eat of his own, just take care of himself, then eventually like he'll die and, he won't be able to provide for people. So
yeah,
I encourage people. One of the things my nutritionist friend, like he's really good about, I would encourage you to talk to somebody, even if it means like you got to pay somebody for a consultation. I was fortunate.
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
and I just had somebody who was passionate about it. And they talked to me about like implementing stuff like, well, number one, first and foremost, going to bed at 7 o'clock, what I'm saying, is crucial. Or not at 7, getting 7 hours of sleep, I should say, whatever that looks like for you.
Enough.
So like myself, like I'm in bed no later than 10 p.m. And that's tough because sometimes when you are making your family a priority, that means once, like your daughter goes to bed, your wife's, getting ready to go to bed herself. Yeah. That's when you're like, firing up the computer and taking care of office stuff. So I encourage everybody, like, set a timer. If you get up at 5, go to bed at 10, whatever that is, make sure you get your 7 hours minimum. 8 hours is optimum, but 7 hours is the minimum. So that's creating standards, just like you would with your business. You got to have some standard operating procedures, creating those for your life. I don't eat any food prior to 2 hours before going to bed. That's huge because like that'll increase your energy, because your body's metabolizing that food and it's going to want to produce that energy, which keeps your mind racing and leads to very non-peaceful sleep. I've, gotten to where like, when I get up at 5 a.m., myself, I make sure I go on walks, and that's a part of my spiritual health too. Cause like, I get up and I go walking, but at the same time, like, nobody's really up at 5 a.m. Like there's a few people, but nobody's really out of their house and stuff. So it's very tranquil, very peaceful. So you have a lot of opportunities to either listen to some worship music, pray, you're on your own, you're walking, and you're doing what's good for your health. So you're getting your heart racing and getting woken up and then getting like really focused on the day. So little stuff like that. And then just like, like I'm really pushing like no fast food at all. Cause it ain't nothing for me to want to like jump to a cookout, like I can tell you my order. Cause like, it's just like, boom, I know exactly what.
Same thing.
But like, I'm trying to work on like, grabbing a protein bar and an apple and a bag of nuts and then, a large bottle of water, and then like, making that as my lunch. Cause a lot of that's very protein, very energy based, like changing it up, trying to like, focus on basically high density protein meals in the evening, less carbs. And if I eat a lot of carbs, I try to get those early in the morning, so.
I love it. I love it. So now that we've talked about, your spiritual relationship, we've talked about how you manage that with, taking care of yourself and spending time with your family. Let's bring it back to business just a little bit. What is the most fulfilling part of what you do?
So the most fulfilling part of what we do has to be, ensuring that the customer has an optimum experience. Case in point, one of the things we do that's a big contributor to our marketing, but like we want to live up to that moniker, is that we always take a picture with our customers. And I borrowed this idea, but at the same time, like we printed off a sign that says 100% satisfied, has our logo on it, and we always take a picture with the customers at the end of it and post that to our social media. But the fact of the matter is that serves as a visual representation or visual review of our services. And the customer's not going to post for that picture if they're not 100% satisfied, if they're not comfortable espousing that. So we have to make sure that we're delivering that experience so that they're comfortable espousing it. We're kind of, like tying in that word of mouth. So ultimately that goes into like, we want to do it. But really at the end of the day, we started our painting company because we were like, why painting? A lot of people go, why painting? You say you can do multiple stuff to different houses. Why didn't you pursue a different field? Well, painting is the most visibly and quickest transformation you can perform on somebody's home that is going to ultimately, like leave a radical experience and helping them enjoy that space more. Whether it's an interior, room that we paint and they just enjoy being in it more, whether it's an exterior paint and they're actually proud to bring over guests and have cookouts and stuff. Ultimately, you are enhancing that person's quality of life, that customer's quality of life, because they're going to enjoy their space more. When they can enjoy their space more, have the peace that a project's being completed, they can see it quantifiably done. They have more joy in being in that room or hosting other people to come and see it. It's like you're ultimately having an impact, and so that's why our motto is that we help make a house a home, help make a house your home, and we want you to be 100% satisfied. And ultimately, we want to enhance our customers' quality of life. And if I can just share one quick like story about that, like just recently, we were, we had this lady who saw one of our yard signs. We were already working a house in the neighborhood, and then she said, "Hey, we'd love to see you come get an estimate." Gave an estimate just to scrape some popcorn ceilings in her kitchen and then paint her cabinets. That's what she wanted done. Pretty routine job for us, wasn't much, but like by the end of it, we went to go do that 100% satisfied picture, and we had to give her a moment because she was in tears. And, I just like, I was like, what's going on? She goes, I've been in this house for 28 years. These are the original cabinets and everything else. And I had been wanting to have this painted and bring it to a point of where like, I'm proud of bringing people over. And you guys helped deliver that. I mean, that ultimately is the most satisfying thing, knowing that, we're providing a service. We got into business, to make money and to, like support our families and everything else. But at the same time, at the end of it, it's all about what you're doing to serve other people. How are you using this as a vehicle to make, ripple implications, throughout eternity. And that's one of them. It's just knowing, like, that's probably the most satisfying thing.
I think the difference between a good owner and a great or extraordinary owner is just having that personal touch. Because imagine, like, you're here telling me a story about painting, painting a house. To some people, we're just getting the work, we're just improving the house. That's all we're doing. We're just adding some paint onto it. But when you add that human touch, when you add that emotional component onto it, you realize it's not just painting. And it goes back to what you said, it's improving people's quality of life. Like, now I'm pretty sure that lady, like, every single day she's probably just gonna take 5 to 10 minutes just looking at the paint.
Oh, the next day, she sent me a picture, or she sent me a text just thanking me once again, and just how much it meant to her. And then, like, I said, well, I certainly hope you cooked a big breakfast. And because it was one of those things too, where obviously her and her husband had to get on board for paying for the project, and so she told me the whole time, like, well, I got my husband on board with it. I was like, all right, that's excellent. And then, like, I said, well, hopefully you took the time to really, cook him a big breakfast in your new kitchen. And then she sent me a picture of all of the spreads she did. And I was like, see, there you go. So yeah, I know she was really, really vibing and enjoying that space.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Painting is not just painting. Painting is an expression of emotion. It's a work of art. It's improving quality of life. I love it. Oh my goodness. I love it. So what's next? I mean, I know that you said you guys are looking to add on some new salespeople and that sort of thing, a sales associate, but what next? What else is in the pipeline for Pathway Home Painting and Improvements?
Well, of course. So I mean, as far as what we're looking to next is that obviously, we are trying to, a part of our mission, I think it says it best, is well, I don't have my mouse right here. I don't know. Oh, there it is. So, but like, part of like what we want to do, our mission is that we want to facilitate a profound transformation of our clients' houses into cherished homes. We believe by delivering this exceptional painting, drywall, and carpentry services, elevating the overall quality of each residence and enhancing our customers' experience within it, guided by our unwavering commitment to integrity, quality, transparency, we strive to cultivate trust and satisfaction among both our valued staff and esteemed clientele. Our ultimate goals are to ensure 100% customer satisfaction, to become the premier painting service in the Charleston Tri-County area, and to expand our reach while maintaining the high standards of quality and opportunity for both our customers and our team. So really, is like, like we want to see growth, because we want to extend our customer outreach, because the same things I'm sharing with you today are not absent from every time we talk to a customer. I find so many times that we go and talk to customers and that conversation very quickly leads into discussions about faith and life, and so like, we have a chance to leave an impact there. So we want to grow to impact customers in that regard, not only and then show our service to them, but we also like, we recognize that we're in business as well because of the teams that we employ. And so we want to provide opportunities for them to grow and to make the money they need to for their families, and to, do this all simultaneously in cooperation of the ultimate vision. And so I would say, like, one of the things is, in our first year of business, so far we're on track to do 389,000 this year. We would love to expand that to, our projections are to 552 by the end of next. And then, like, ultimately,
you
like,
could totally score that $1 million. You could
What's that?
totally score that. You could totally score the million.
Well,
You could totally do it.
we would love to be in that position for sure. But
You could totally do it. I could see it happening.
we are of the mindset, we are of the mindset to take it one day at a time, and
Mhm.
let the rest take, do the little things, do the right things first, and then everything else will take care of itself, right? So it's prepare for what you should expect, and then
Mhm.
be pleasantly surprised if you exceed it, right? Um,
Yes.
and so that's where we're at. We want to be able to, we were able to do, those kind of numbers, off of 43 new customers gained. So we would like to increase that to obviously 52 new customers, one per week next year. We want to do, we want to be able to increase those numbers in the same regard by I'm getting a little off track. Ultimately, we want to. Right now, currently, our crew consists of 6 painters, and then we've hired on a consultant. We would like to hire on a more dedicated production manager, sales
Mhm.
coordinator, and ultimately an operations manager. And the
Yeah.
difference of those being is that our production manager oversees our crews and becomes the point of contact for our sales personnel after they sell the job, build the relationship with the client. But the production manager will become the point of contact during that time. And then our operations manager just essentially oversees everything. Like they're able to, say hey, sales is still good, production is still good. We're making sure that all communication to clients is efficient. Jobs are being produced and delivered, to ultimate efficiency. So, and they're the ones that pretty much they allow me to, take that time, more of that time with my family, that I trust them. So having that in place, we would love to have, along with our sales coordinator, 2 sales associates under them. And so ultimately, we want to expand our crew to 14 members. We want to have 3 people working in sales, 1 person in operations, running helping run the entire business. And it just allows me to be able to kind of, do more stuff
Clock
to,
work.
yes, yeah. And because there's things I'll be honest, I think though to quote Danny DeVito from Matilda, sound like a used car salesman. That I really don't think people are buying a painting project because there's thousands of painters in our area, and there's a lot of good painters, but very very few good painting business owners. And so from there, it's one of those things for us where we, people aren't buying just a painting job. They're buying me. They're buying
Exactly.
what I, how I represented myself, created that rapport and that trust with the customer. And then we were able to, work out an arrangement to, ultimately produce a job for them that they needed to have done, but they wanted to buy it from us, and that has a lot to do with me handling a lot of the sales, why that is. And so therefore, as a result, I've got to start figuring out how do I find ways to duplicate myself, so,
It's
there's
possible.
a lot of great aspects about me that I would love to clone and have those
Yeah.
things that I know stand in my way that I want to utilize other people's strengths in doing so as well. So it's
Exactly.
navigating through all that. That stuff, as you mature in the business, you recognize these are now challenges you've got to overcome and address. And so an ultimate goal too, I'd say, is we want to have 3 different locations here in the state of South Carolina. I was born
Mhm.
and raised in the upstate in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, before moving down to Charleston. And so Charleston's the biggest city in our our biggest area in the state. So that's a great place to start, hang your hat. But I would love to have locations
Expand.
where I'm from, and in between, which would be in Columbia, maybe in the Myrtle Beach area. There's just we want to expand our outreach, and then just having those locations help. And then also just knowing that I could move back home if I needed to, and I gotta
Yeah.
we can hang our hat, and a good system in place. So we want to be able to serve our entire state, and then hopefully maybe expand even more into the southeast. So
Wow. I love it. I love it. I love the vision. I love everything that you're doing. Like the improvements that you have going on, the personal development. I love it. Spending time with family, growing the team, the outlook for the company. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on here, Jonah, sharing your story, sharing your insights, telling us your experiences. Now tell me, what is one thing that you would like to say to people who are new in the industry? What if you could say one thing to them, what would that be?
Oh wow. How do you narrow it down to just one? Um, um, I would say anything, like just really, really have a heart to heart with yourself and check your motivation. Because I think a lot of people, I mean, like we're not gonna sit there and say like, oh, money's not an issue for us. I mean, yeah, we got into it because this is the way I provide for my family. But at the same time, like if you don't check your motivation and really think about why you're doing this, I mean, it's very easy to get sucked into and make bad decisions, because, like goals aren't met, things don't pan out the way you are. I mean, we experience a lot of rejection, in this business,
Yeah,
like
every business
every,
people
I mean,
experience
like,
rejection.
yes, I mean, like if you're not like, it's really hard because I have a lot of stuff I'd like to share with people. I mean, if you're thinking about starting your own business, do it. I mean, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So, I mean, like if you are feeling a tug at your heart to do something, do it. But then also, like, check your motivation. Is this solely to make money and profit? Well, if it is, then you're going to struggle for a while. So you need to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
If it's just to be able to say you own a business, well, that's fine. But then that gets tired after a while, So if it's very ego driven or very just monetary gain driven, then you've really got to, check your motivation and make sure that this is what you need to be doing. So.
Yeah. Awesome feedback. So how can people find you, Jonah?
Yeah, of course. So the best way to find us is definitely going to be at, search us on Facebook at Pathway Home Painting and Improvements. You can simply just search that and find us. We're the orange, blue, and light green, light blue logos. It looks really cool. But also, we have our website, pathwaypaints.com. We also have our Instagram at Pathway Paints. So all these are great sources. And if any of your viewers have a question they like to have, send me a message on Facebook and stuff. And I'm always wanting to pour into people. So.
Awesome. I love it. And guys, if you watching this would love to be featured on Beyond the Trades Talk Show, reach out to me. Send me a DM on Facebook, or you could go directly to our Facebook page, Beyond the Trades Talk Show, and click contact us, and you'll get connected right to me. All right. Thank you so much, Jonah. I appreciate you.
Yeah.